All right, welcome back. Well, we're going to start with 2-point perspective. You'll see the main difference in 1 and 2-point perspective is just a point. Actually, the main difference is how you start. The way we start, very similar. We have a horizon line here, okay? Except instead of having 1 point for all your orthogonals to go to, or the sides, or your eye line to go there, you can have 2. This gives that sense that a object is, occupying space in a different vantage point. Okay, so here's the thing: on a long piece of paper like this, I'm not gonna go too far out because you might be using a smaller piece of paper. The closer those points are together, the more enhanced or dramatic the perspective is gonna be. So just like the practice is, you're gonna do 1 cube that is on the horizon line. You're going to do 1 cube that is above the horizon line, and then 1 cube that is below the horizon line. Now, what these indicate is the corner closest to us. So getting back to this iPhone box there, you see how it changes, right? This is the corner that I just drew, the one that is closest to the viewer. And to make the sides of it, because you're going to look at both sides of these cubes, you're going to take the top of that and you're going to follow it. You see how dramatic the perspective is? So I'm going to start this. And the bottom of it is dictated by your orthogonals. Now the vertical lines are not in perspective, as you will see. I'm only going to go a little bit of the distance here because you're going to remember that becomes invisible. And I know that that cube or box or block is not going to go that far. What I do know is that in order to make the sides look like sides, I need to have the back of the cube. So this is the same thing as 1 point. You make a parallel line. I'm being arbitrary here. I'm not being, I'm not doing any real measurements here. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here because I'm just practicing. Okay, I'm going to fill in the orthogonal here. And as you can see, if this was in pencil, I'd erase my construction lines, I'd erase a horizon line that is behind the cube. But for all intents and purposes, there's my cube in 2-point perspective. I like thinking, well, where do these points go to? That's where you have to think spatially. If I go from this point to here, it's just going to continue on that line. So it doesn't make sense. So you take the remainder points and go to the opposite one, opposite vanishing point. Okay, and if I just go from here to there, it doesn't make any sense because it doesn't complete that box. So it should be obvious, but it is amazingly not sometimes. And you see right there where they cross. Oh boy, there it is. There it is. I think 2-point perspective is lots of fun. It's quite gratifying. Same thing with 1 point. I'm going to do the same thing here just to kind of illustrate the point. I'll go a wee bit faster. Bam. Look at that. Look at that. There's 3 blocks in 2-point perspective. Alright, well I'm going to continue using the same sheet of paper here because to do a simple house or to add elements on top of elements is kind of the same thing as the starting point is the exact same. So if this is going to be my house, then there it is. It's the same way I'd start it. Here's where it gets a little bit different, where we start to think about the tops and bottoms of things. I'm going to do the peak roof just like I did with the 1 point. So I'm going to review what I talked about earlier. I'm going to create my center, find my diagonals, boom, boom, boom. A nice vertical there. Okay. Right. So you see how that is finding the center of this line. Now this line or this top is in perspective. So it's not the matter of just measuring it, it's a matter of actually finding the center. So this way I can do something complex like a triangle. Okay, boom. Right, and it's in perspective, and from that point we can find the top of the roof. Okay, and then of course as long as it's parallel. Oh, it's sticking. As long as it's parallel. Ah, I did pretty good. You have a house of sorts in perspective. Now we didn't really talk about doing things like windows or doors in 1 point perspective. We can, but I saved it until now, so we can use it at this point. So here I'm going to just draw a door entryway. Again, verticals have no perspective. Okay. Now, since this face used this vanishing point, I'm going to use the same one. Okay. Now, the perspective on top here is not very severe. The reason why is because it's close to the horizon line. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, let's make a window here. Okay, I'm going to do, again, the front of the window. Let's make a really big one. It's going to be a really big window. Now you can kind of eyeball it, but look, it's pretty simple to draw on the side. Just the tops and bottoms in 2 point perspective are dictated by the orthogonals. And as long as this is parallel, bam, now we got this big window, right? Tell you what, let's make this have a big hole in it. This is where you can start having a little bit of fun. In order to get the inside frame, if you will, I'm going to use, there's no point in bringing this point to this vanishing point because it's just going to make a line, so it has to go to the opposite side. And we can go all the way there. Does that work here too? Let's see. Yep. So now it kind of has a look like there's a tunnel going through there. Let's do the same thing with this, just because it's insanely fun. Let's stack something on top of this box. So the advanced version of creating a simple house is to assemble boxes together, and this is again where the cube becomes the building blocks of all perspective. Right? Sometimes it's hard to explain this stuff, but I'm going to use the top of this box and I'm going to just stack another cube or brick on top of it. So in order to find, it already has sides on it, what I can do is I can create vertical lines. I'm going to go ahead and use the thickness of the ruler. Okay. Now I've created the side, just like I started with this corner. Now this is the corner of the next block. So I'm going to use the same exact strategy. I stopped there because I know it's not going to go off. this one's already done. So then, let's see, maybe I should have made this go a little higher. So then this will go back into space. See what happened there? I will do the same thing here. And because it crosses over that horizon line, you're not going to see the top. And this is going to be a parallel line to that side. Is it? Is it? Is it? There you go. So now I'm starting to stack boxes. Now, of course, if this was pencil, I would erase those little lines and that horizon line. Okay? You can do the same thing. You can start to add things on top of each other. You can start having things pop out. Let's go ahead and do something else. So it's kind of fun just to play around with building blocks, Minecrafting, if you will. Right. I think that's it. Try it out. There's the sample on the worksheet, and just experiment. You know, mess up a lot, make lots of mistakes, and I guarantee you, you will start to see how these things all kind of start to work together. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put kind of an arbitrary corner here. This way it doesn't really matter where you start. And I'm just going to put some construction lines here. Because what I want you to really understand is that no matter what it is that you're going to put in that space, it is really determined by that cube. Let's find the middle of this box, or I'm sorry, square. And the reason why I want to find the middle is because I don't want to guess. I don't want to guess where it should be. Okay? Because here I'm going to be putting the letter T. Right? And that's not necessary to do there because, so we have the top of the letter T. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I know that the bottom of the crossbar, this is bugging me, crossbar, is also going to be in perspective. So I'm going to put that in. So the reason why it was important to get the center line is because you want that to be in perspective as well. If I just put, I want to make sure that I have enough space on either side to make this look reasonably like the letter T in perspective. Okay, so that is very similar to 1 point perspective, right? Except that now it's 2. So in order to get the bottoms of these, you've already kind of started at the bottom of this one, then you go to your opposite side. Right? And actually I stopped there. And the reason why I stopped there is because it's being covered by the rest of it. Let's see how this works out. Okay. So here's something that happens to a lot of people. You still need to pay attention to the perspective. Right? Same thing with this. So now this T, even though it's really long, I would erase that. That becomes important. Because let's go ahead and do the shading trick just to kind of illustrate that point. And the whole entire letter still fits inside of that cube. But still, you have to realize that it is still being dictated by anything you cut out of that cube. Hope that makes a little bit of sense.